ladies and gentlemen, the world's #1 sports and recreation podcast, Cheap Heat, is back on Tuesday, August 20th. Welcome aboard. Our first free episode, and I don't know how long. Was it 2 weeks ago, SGG?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Full 2 weeks without a regular main feed episode. And we are coming to you, recording this mid-morning. I wanted it to be late morning, but we just learned another great quality about Dipperstein. He only reads the most recent, literally the most recent text in a group chat. He doesn't know that you have to scroll up at least like a sentence or two to gather what the group might be saying.
Well, literally the most recent text in a group chat, if it's in response to his most recent text in the group chat. If it's just a recent text unrelated to what he said, he's not reading it.
I gotta tell you, I'm in so many group chats at this point. It's. I mean, I know everyone. I cannot keep up with a single group chat. It went from I can pay attention to 2 or 3 of them. Now I'm in 40 group chats. All with like different combinations of people. Some are on the same, some are on different. You take one out, you put one in. It's like insane.
I have nothing like that.
Really?
Not like that. Like I have the group chats in my life are Jew World Order.
How many people would you say is a group chat?
More than 3.
More than 3, yeah.
More than 3.
I'm in at least 20.
And they're all recreational
and active.
And recreational.
Yes.
Oh, dude, you've got a life problem.
Yeah.
There's issues in your life.
I don't create them. I'm not in I just leave them. I let them be.
But this is now it's affecting your personal life because your business life, because you treat our podcast thing like we're one of your Fakakta
I just undid
friends.
the silence of it.
So let me ask you
the silence
wow.
of it? We don't talk all the time. That's what you put on when Ted and Scott Ratner are rambling about an Intercontinental Championship match from 1990. Ours are like
that I respond to.
Ours are like, hey, what time are we doing this week? Here's what happened last night. This we'll take you inside. Then there's a lot of wrestling to get to.
Before you get to that, we have to ask, Dip, do you have any messages pinned to the top of your messages app in Apple?
I don't even know what that means.
Oh my God. So like at the top, do you have any messages pinned so that when they come in,
no. But SGG, I find those it kind of makes it sometimes harder. Yeah, Dip, that's actually what you should do though. For the ones that you don't want to see as much, you should pin them to the top. See, SGG, you could go one way or the other. You could put the important stuff at the top, or if you put I have now the K-Show. I just did this for vacation. I put the K-Show group chat and the Ebro Show group chat. I pinned them both to the top and silenced them because I was on vacation and don't want to see the work update while I'm on vacation, right? So they don't really pop up in your thing. They're just sitting there at the top. It's kind of a good way to ignore them if you feel like it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or you could go the other way and pin us to the top, and then when the message comes in,
right, you only look at you prioritize the ones that are at the top.
So you either way, scroll.
Here's what happened last night. Here we go. It starts at 11:55 p.m. Wow, this was late that we got into this yesterday. I was still waiting for Joe Biden to come out. It says, Dip, what's your schedule for tomorrow? I would maybe prefer a tad later.
I was sleeping, by the way.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
I may have gotten up at a certain point and looked and responded, but I was sleeping for sure.
Okay, so here we go. Dip, what's your schedule tomorrow? I would maybe prefer a tad later. I have to watch Raw. Emilio, maybe mid-afternoon or evening? I said, no, we got to do tomorrow. We've been off regular schedule. We got to get back to regular. Maybe 11 or 11:30. Emilio asks if Dip's flying. I say, no, he's not flying. Okay, a little further. SGG a minute or two later says, I can do 11 or 11:30. Then Dip pops up at 12:07, 12 minutes after the first chat.
I was asleep at 10:30 last night.
I can do 9:30 eat or 10 p.m. eat. What are your thoughts?
I was sleeping.
I wrote back, You're flying during the day now? Will you have watched all of Raw by 9:30? Leaving wins. I watched a Jor will watch in the AM. I wrote, but you have no time between 9:30 a.m. and 10 p.m.? Dip writes, I love wrestling. Think it's great. 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Yes. I wrote, if that's the only time you can do, Emilio ends the night at 12:25 a.m. Which time are we doing? At 3:09 a.m. after being awoken by Rocky and going outside in Manhattan in the middle of the night, I write, I guess 9:30 a.m. 9 a.m. Dipperstein wakes up. I can do 10 if you want. Emilio, I tossed and turned all night, so I'm up and ready when you are. Dip, trying to get rid of a headache. Emilio, a nice cup of mint tea will help. Anyways, I end up suggesting we do 10 because I think, again, I'm trying to push SGG because I think 9:30 is his hard time he has to do.
Right. I'm interjecting here. Okay, I'm interjecting in this, and I'm gonna say one thing, and this is really the truth. This is the bottom line about this. Okay, with this, if we would stick to a single time every week to do the show,
Tuesdays at 10,
barring an actual problem or emergency,
yes,
then that would be the solve for all.
SGG, what time do we record? What's the natural cheap heat recording time?
Tuesdays at 10 a.m.
This is Tuesdays are 10 or 10:30 is the time that we record. In the 10 o'clock hour on Tuesday is
10 and 10:30 are two different times. Okay,
it's not 9:30 and 10:30.
At 7 in the morning for me. 7 and 7:30 are two different
right
times
now.
I have to go to work.
You're here. If this was West Coast, I wouldn't even be having this conversation. You're here.
Please, let me tell you something. Okay, I take responsibility for this day, but if you really want to air it out with the fucking times, okay. If we could stick to one time and be on time, there would be no problems ever. Okay. My whole life is regimented, as is yours. So if we could stick to a single time, if we could say 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern every Tuesday, I'd never be late. There'd never be a problem. There'd be no problems ever. But 10:30 is not 10:30. 10:30 becomes 10:40. 10:40 becomes 10:50. I'm sitting there at 10:50. Then we talk for 10 minutes. Then we start at 11.
The amount of times that you sit for a half hour before we start is so exaggerated, Dip. I definitely keep us waiting 5 minutes. SGG will give us 5 minutes. That it happens. You sitting here 25 minutes by yourself is utter horseshit. And by the way, I agree with you.
I'll time it next time.
I agree with you. If you move to the East Coast, this would all be much easier. Because there's no question it's hard for you. I'm not even trying to exaggerate that. I won't even remotely lie. You getting up to do the podcast is hard. I take nothing away from that. But it's also different because we're in the middle of the day. So then I have other crap that makes me move because it's 10:30. But that has nothing to do with any of this. I have no problem with any of that. I want us to stay as close as we can on time every week. My point is you are a horrible text messenger, and you were sleep texting last night while the rest of us were talking in earnest. You're just writing, what are your thoughts? And no one knows that you're sleep texting. We all adjusted accordingly, and you had no idea.
It's 11:30 at night. I mean,
I don't know. I thought you were out golfing. Dip, a half an hour before this, by the way, Dip is texting me because he had been out drinking and hitting golf balls. I didn't think you were dead asleep now.
Yeah, and 11:30 is 8:30 your time. What are you doing?
Well, no, he's been out here for a while now. It's East Coast Dip.
In 3 days?
He's been here since what? Friday? No, you were in Ohio on Thursday. You've been away from California for a while. When are you going back, by the way?
He's trying to get rid of you now.
Yeah, time to go. You're going back tomorrow? You might as well stay. It's Wednesday. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's nothing to do with Thursday.
By the time you get back, it's practically the weekend again.
Gotta go back.
California needs you. All right. Did everybody enjoy last night's big episode of Monday Night Raw? First of all, Dip, start with you. I know you're upset. The news coming out yesterday that Pat McAfee going back to College Game Day for a while. So I just want to check in on you.
Look, I am sad about it. I'm very sad.
But you're still gonna power through and watch the show.
I will still watch the show. I still love wrestling. I still think it's great.
Okay.
I did not love last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. I will tell you, I did not love it.
Okay, do
I'm
tell.
sure Greg absolutely loved it, and we'll talk about it in a second. But look, I mean, this Wyatt Six thing, it's amounting to just attacking these people. I mean, we don't know how does their story ever make sense? Like what is we saw these promos for all this time. They popped up and we're talking to different people and we saw all this stuff or whatever. I guess we got to let it play out. But if the entire story just this whole macabre situation with Bray Wyatt's brother and this new people that he's put together or whatever all culminates in just attacking Chad Gable and his friends. I'm not. I don't. If that's what it is, that doesn't work for me.
This is where we are. Next week they announced Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable in a match. I actually,
Yep.
I think there's a chance. We'll let SG. I think if we were to break down the episode of Raw, my hunch is SGG is not going to be far off on this part of it. I don't think you guys are going to disagree that much. That yesterday getting we learned that is sort of the fate. I think that is the end of the Wyatt Six and American Made or whatever is going to be Gable and Uncle Howdy next week. I think that's where we're landing.
I don't think it's going to be the end, but I do think we are definitely in sort of let it play out territory. I mean, people have their theories. I have mine that it amounts to, Chad Gable betrayed his friends and started treating them poorly. And this group of people who lost their closest friends, Brody and Bray, they are not taking that lightly. And so I think that's what put Chad Gable on their radar. Whether they
I
come
think
out,
you're inventing that in your head.
sure. I don't think
admit you are inventing that they're mad at Chad Gable because they lost their friend and he was mean to his.
I mean, the QR codes put it together. Like it was there. There were clues. People put together that Chad Gable was going to be his first victim, and from the QR codes that aired in months prior, and here we are. And that's why people are saying is that Chad Gable betrayed his family, his quote unquote family, and so that's what put him on the radar of the Wyatt Six. What's going to happen after the match? I'm not so sure, but I think we're firmly in, for me, let it play out territory to see where this is going to ultimately end up and how this is going to launch them into bigger feuds with other people.
Do you have concerns, SGG? How about that? Do you have concerns?
No.
You're not concerned. It doesn't
Or
bother
is it because you just don't care?
No, I think people had their expectations sort of set, like what Dip said, they should come out and sort of attack somebody in the main event. I think names that he threw out were like Punk and Cody and people closer to the top. I think the main event scene is pretty crowded, and they sort of need to build to that. So I don't think that they're like any less than where they should be or anything like that. I think that they are in the spot where they need to be, where they can work their way up, along with Chad Gable, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that Chad Gable was trusted to be their first feud. He's a guy who has been given some great gimmicks and some not so great. So as your pops would say, the greats and the near greats, and he's made it work.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's fine that there's this many stables in WWE, and we like the idea of there being a ton of stables. Like, I can't even name them all the fakakta names. But like they need to have a purpose. They really do. Like the Final Testament needs a purpose. The only one that seems to have a purpose right now is the Judgment Day, and I'm not even that confident I know what their purpose is at this point, other than to destroy Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest.
Yeah, that's sort of their main thing right now. That would be the thing. Yeah, I would say there were things I liked and didn't like from last night. I would put the Wyatt Six thing as probably closer to didn't like. I'm not stoked about that. And I think SGG, some of that expectation that the fans have, I mean, that was the expectation that was set. Like you're ending episodes with this major thing. You're building it up with codes over months. Like there's a reason to think. There was legitimate reason to think we're going to jump into something big here. That's not a crazy expectation given the way they got there.
Yeah, I don't think it's not big, but I also don't think like the expectation of like this is going to be a main event thing in a crowded main event scene I think that might have been
Well, how
a
crowded
little
is the main event scene, particularly on Raw? Last night's main event, to be exact, specific, was Ludwig Kaiser and Randy Orton. Obviously, with that being a setup for Bash at Berlin with Randy and Gunther. I mean, what is the true top of the card on Raw? It is the Judgment Day. It is Gunther,
Yeah.
Randy,
I would say Punk and Drew is
and
towards
Punk
the
and
top
Drew.
of the card. I would even say Jay is towards the top of the card. Seth was towards the top of the card, but he got injured. Yeah, Sammy, Emilio Wayden, he said Sammy's in the main event scene.
Sammy's not top of the card. He's mid card.
He had a mid card title, but I would say he's top of the card.
I think
He's not.
I think Sammy and
He's not a main eventer.
Sammy. Well, no, that's main event Jey Uso. I think Sammy and Jay are both like just below. Even though Jay is Ove like Rove, I think he's still hovering. I think it's Gunther, Randy, Judgment Day, Drew, Punk. That is.
I mean, I wouldn't even call Judgment Day top of the card. I got to be honest.
No,
Like,
yeah, that's insane. And saying Judgment Day too, I would include Priest and Rhea on that.
That's what I mean.
Even though they're out, I would include.
You don't
include
think? I mean, the Judgment Day story of Priest.
I think in terms of the story, it's a very significant story, but I wouldn't call them top of the. I would say Damian is top of the card because he just had the title. I wouldn't say that Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio are top of the card.
So hold on, Damian's top of the card because he had the title, which is the prop, but the group that drove the story that is hot is not at the top of the card with him.
No,
I actually sort of see. I sort of hear what Dip's saying. I do see there is like a. I mean, yeah, Carlito's not at the top of the card.
No,
and
if Finn Balor were in the main event on Raw, fine, but he's not in the main event.
Yeah, they're all sort of accoutrement to. When I was saying the Judgment Day, I mean the Dom, Liv, Rhea, Priest is top of the card. I'm sorry, that is the primary story probably on the show. Yeah, maybe you're right, SGG. It is a little crowded, I guess, but I do understand the lack of people having disappointment in Wyatt 6. I know these days it seems like there's a faction of listeners to this podcast that at any moment will come out and think Dip and I are just hating on it to hate on it. But for me, Wyatt 6, I was pretty excited about it. We're now a while into it, and it still feels like, okay, here we like.
What did all of this mean? Why are they here?
And hopefully we'll get there. But it is getting.
Yeah, maybe we will.
But it is getting to be a long.
Now it doesn't. Sorry.
It's getting to be a long. Let it play out. I'll just say that it's getting to be a long lipo.
Well, how many matches has it actually been for them though? Right? Was it just the one, and then we're going to be another?
I don't even mean in terms of match time. I just mean in terms of time.
Yeah.
When did the first code come up? How about that?
Yeah. Oh wow.
That's like 6 months ago, bro. Like we're into this. Like how long ago was there the McAfee stuff? Like that was a while ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, we're just in this era where like every beat is literally like they're not going to move through beats of a story in one episode of Raw. Like take CM Punk and Drew McIntyre for example, right? They are just set up their second match for their feud, and they've been on TV this whole time. Granted, Punk was injured for some of it, but that started in January.
Yeah, that one's been going for a long time. And now we find out they will have a strap match in Berlin, which, by the way, to me is great news for that card. I think that's something. But that does give this card a little more zhuzh, if you will. As we sit right now, it's the fourth match made. Gunther, Randy for the title. Cody, KO for the other title. Terror Twins versus the New Judgment Day mixed tag. And now Punk and Drew in a strap match. It's starting to resemble, to me potentially, and I'll be curious to see how much more they add. If they add a couple more matches that are good, this feels like a little bit like an international PLE plus potentially.
Well, if they get 2 more matches, that automatically makes it plus, right?
I know because it never goes more than 5, right?
Yeah, they got room for one more based on the traditional schedule.
So we don't have yet a bloodline thing.
No.
There has to be some bloodline thing, right?
I would assume so, right? I mean, the Street Profits just won their number 1 contendership match for the tag titles, but you have to assume that that's going to be the SmackDown match just the day before Bash in Berlin.
Yeah, I don't
So
think
I
that's
don't
on
know
the card.
I don't know what Solo's going to end up doing. Jacob Fatu, he whooped Roman's ass with the boot on, so he's good. He's good to wrestle, if you ask me.
I mean, he's good enough to do something.
Yeah,
I
he's ready to
really,
go.
I loved. I mentioned this on the Patreon dip, and I did over the weekend. I loved Jacob Fatu showing up with the boot on. That was. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what part we're being worked on and what part's real. I don't care. But Fatu showing up with the boot and putting in work was dope.
Yeah.
Don't recall that.
No. Because, like,
He's
sure, there's
swinging
been
Fatu.
many people to do it with the cast on their arm,
Yeah,
but the
not with
boot
the
on
boot.
the foot is next level.
Now, so there should be a bloodline something or other. Do we think Roman's on this card?
I think they would have announced it already.
I don't know. It could be this week though, because he is doing a lot of TV. Is Roman not announced yet for this Friday?
No, he's not yet.
So he did 2 Fridays in a row. He did SummerSlam and 2 Fridays in a row.
That sounds like he's back, because usually he'd do like a SummerSlam and then you don't see him again.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like there's a chance he could be on Bash at Berlin with that. That feels like there's a chance he's there to me.
But who do they give him? Right? Do they give him? They can't give him Solo so early.
No, they couldn't. And they couldn't have, and there's no setup at this point for a sort of like a 6-man or something.
I think they have to have the bloodline on this card. I mean, it's.
But okay, if it's not Roman, what is it?
Right, because KO and Cody are preoccupied with each other.
So who?
Jacob Fatu's hurt.
Maybe.
Potential.
Or do they give Roman somebody else somehow? Like, yeah, like Fatu's okay, and it's but you want to build to that.
Yeah.
What if, is there a no? I was gonna say, is there a world in which now
let us shoot it down, P. It's
okay,
gonna be fun.
Is there a world in which they're high now? They're so high on the idea of Fatu and Roman that they do sort of rush to Solo and Roman because they no longer think that's the big one sitting out there. That you could argue we've already now seen Roman Superman punch Solo twice.
Yeah.
Like, is there a world in which they think that's no longer the thing? So they give us that at the pay-per-view.
I'm leaning no, just because of, like we said earlier, this episode, the way things get teased out and strung along until they absolutely have to do the thing with this era of WWE. But then also we saw them hit a major pivot for the WrestleMania 40, which is the biggest WrestleMania of all time, and they pivoted from presumably Rock Roman to Roman Cody and Roman dropping the title. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that they could have a big grand plan that gets scrapped completely so that they could pivot for something that they think is better.
I guess you're right. The more logic, if you care about the title at all, and I mean title, I mean name, not belt.
Yeah. Then
Bad Blood would be the thing that makes sense for Roman and Solo.
Yeah.
That's when they're going to do it. That's a good call.
If they
that makes sense.
If they care about it being Bad Blood, if that's a thing.
Well, there's not great blood.
It's not great. It's not great blood. It's not the best blood. So I could see it being bad.
It's great blood.
We love blood. Bad blood, very bad. I think he actually did say something like that, by the way. Around the ear thing, there was a thing about like, there was blood, beautiful red blood. I swear that happened. Natalie just showed up at the door, your favorite. She heard the voice. She had to show up.
I've had it with this dumb.
She's now doing Trump mixed with our favorite quote from Dumb and Dumber. I've had it with this dump. Every time I find anything bad in my house. Did either of you quote Dumb and Dumber in your life regularly? Either of you?
Just you're telling me there's a chance. That was the one.
Telling me there's a chance is
you're saying there's a chance, but that's it.
And Dip, you're not a big Dumb and Dumber guy?
No.
That's a generational thing.
It's my generation.
Not the way it's mine. Not the way it's mine. Dude, I was 14 when it came out. It was
Really?
a movie made for 14-year-olds when it came out. You know what I mean? That's like what it was. Saw it in the I saw it in the theater. Let me put it this way. Dumb and Dumber is a movie. I didn't love it the first time I saw it in the theater, by the way. It was always in follow-up watches that I loved it. I saw it in the theater with like 20 friends. It was that kind of movie. Like everyone went at the same time.
That was sort of like me with Borat in college. Like we all went to see it
in college, though.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, it was Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison.
No, it wasn't.
And Austin Powers.
He was like three with that.
This is back to you being like, for me, it was WrestleMania 2. No, you love those movies. You watch them on tape. Yes. But you were very little. Happy Gilmore's me. And again, 14 years old, all teenagers.
Right. Yeah, it's theater you.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like truly, but not that it's, by the way, impactful in both ways. But for me and my friend group, Dumb and Dumber is like a absolute core staple in the way Happy Gilmore is. They're all the same. They're all kind of the same. Like everyone knows them all by heart.
Right.
For you, you're saying the Sandler ones hit, not Dumb and Dumber.
It's interesting. It's like a 95. There's a difference between 3 years. I mean, Happy Gilmore came out in 95, I believe.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber is 94.
Dumb and Dumber's 94. So I was 7 years old, too young to go to the theater to see
any of
Dumb and Dumber, and also 8, too young to see Happy Gilmore. But then when I was 10, I was just old enough, maybe 10 years old, I was just old enough to go see Austin Powers.
Well, but hold on, but Austin Powers is way more kid friendly than the first two, particularly Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore was a young adult comedy. That wasn't a kids. It wasn't intended to be a little kids movie. It was
neither. I mean, you watch Austin Powers, it's not for kids either.
But it's not. But you as a kid, you won't understand the filth of it the same way you will with Happy Gilmore.
Right. I was going to say Austin Powers had like the cartoonish charm of like there's a joke for kids and a joke for adult that's in the same one line.
Correct. You could take a kid to see Austin Powers, which, by the way, isn't it crazy to realize how fast time goes to think about now that Beyonce was the woman in like the second Austin Powers? Was it second or third?
I think it was the third, right? It was gold member.
Yeah, a gold member. And like
that was 2001, I believe.
Like, do you realize how like that was so long ago?
Yeah.
Did they have a kissing scene? Did Mike Myers get to make out with Beyonce?
Don't recall.
I can't remember. I don't think so.
Yeah, although I will tell you, if you want to go down one day down a deep Rosenberg rabbit hole of conspiracy, there is still a lot of weird stuff up until very recently about like interracial sexual interaction on film. The biggest one ever that literally blows my mind and makes me hate a movie I otherwise quite enjoy was that they did not let Jet Li and Aaliyah kiss at the end of Romeo Must Die. They fucking hug. It is so embarrassing to go back and watch. You're like, wait, they thought it would be too edgy for Jet Li and Aaliyah to have one kiss together? What will the people think? It's so insane.
The conspiracy might not be that far off.
Oh, no. I'm telling you. And by the way, and unlike a lot of other things, it's not just black-white race stuff. Like in this case, it's all different interracial stuff they're weird about on camera. Very strange thing to pay attention to. Anyways, I did enjoy the back to SmackDown. We were just talking about it. I did enjoy the end there because I have to tell you, I thought once Roman got his hands on the Ulafala, I thought it's his. I was like, we're already there? And then
just like that, it got taken away.
So I thought that was actually fun. I thought it was that added a little extra sauce to the thing. I know what Dip's gonna feel. I see your face already telling it.
Yeah.
No, I like the Ulafala.
Enough with the Ulafala is where I think you're going.
No, I'm into the Ulafala.
Listen, I'll tell you this. I'll take the Ulafala over the bracelet with your dog's name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bracelet is ridiculous. I Ulafala in, bracelet out.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, no, there's at least something. There's something real at least with the Ulafala, and we'd be remiss we didn't mention it. Afa passed away.
Yeah.
since we last did the show, and I'm going to release as our Patreon episode this week my interview from the Javits Center at Fanatics Fest with Jay Uso, Jade Cargill, and Bianca. And one thing that I talked about with Jay is like, it is crazy, SGG, to think about it. When Afa and Sika died, sad as it is that they passed away, and really sort of touching that they passed away in such close proximity to each other, it is crazy, though, like in the last few years of their life, their family was just running the business.
Like you said, it's sad that they did die so close proximity, but they got to see their family basically be the first family of wrestling. And like they had that moment, we talk about the Ula Fala, they are the ones who introduced it to WWE programming. They come out during that match with Roman and Jay. Roman wins. He gets to the top of the ramp, and they put it around his neck, never to be removed from his neck again. He comes out with it every single time. So they are literally connected to the bloodline story in that physical, tangible way. And then from that moment, they get to see crowds come back, Roman main events, all these WrestleManias, Jay Uso's at the top of the card. The Usos sort of reinvent tag team wrestling and rise their family back to the tag team legacy that they started. There's a WrestleMania, 2 WrestleManias, you would argue that their family is basically bloodline mania. Their family main events both nights, and they got to see all of that before they passed away. And that just makes no mention of all the people that they trained and got in the business, like Batista, who's not even in their family, trained under Afa, and they got to see him become a big star.
The dominance of Paul Heyman.
Yeah, like all of that. They got to see all of that.
Peter, for Hanukkah this year, I'm thinking about buying you an Ula Fala.
I listen.
But
If you
it
want,
has to be the blue La Fala, like Jay Uso had.
Yeah, it has to be the blue one that Jay.
A blue and white Ula Fala.
Yeah, a blue and white Ula Fala. No, that is interesting, and I did not realize that. So that's when it came out. It was during the pandemic show when Sika and Afa both appeared on the stage with him that they put it on his neck. That was the beginning of it. But then he only busted it out at special occasions, right?
Like for the big matches, he would come out with it.
Just at the big ones, right? Yeah, it is cool. Much better than the bracelet. I've had enough. Don't get me wrong. I certainly understand having an attachment. You know, listen, this is a very important story to me. When Big Pun died back in 2000, I was so emotionally affected by it that when I was at the mall, I stopped by one of the booths and I bought a necklace with a grain of rice on the inside that said Big Pun on it. So
you still have it?
You know, you want to know the funniest thing? I think I gave it to a girl who must have thought it was the weirdest thing ever. I think that's what happened to it. It was either given to a girl or just lost. But either way, what kind of lunatic was I? I wore a grain of rice around my neck that said Big Pun on it.
And and just because it said Big Pun too, he didn't write his name on the grain of rice. Someone else just wrote Big Pun on the rice.
And by the way, it had a double meaning though, because I just assumed he enjoyed rice. So it worked out great.
I have a necklace that I wore at a similar period, which was gold, that said Razor Ramon on it.
Is that true?
Yes.
You actually did.
I believe that.
Was
and
it
I believe he still has it.
Was it real or you made it?
It's the gold razor.
Oh, you wore the actual razor thing, but you made it a necklace. Was it a necklace already? It came as a necklace?
Yes.
Came as a necklace. And you said, I need that.
Absolutely.
But there's a difference. You were 10. I was 20. That's a bit of a problem.
And Dip probably got it out of the catalog or something like that. You got yours.
It was a catalog purchase for sure.
At a mall kiosk.
That's when you had to fill out the item number.
Oh
yeah.
With your.
That's how they knew you were serious. You filled out the item number and you put a stamp on it. And you mailed it in.
Bruh, there was nothing like that experience is so different. I mean, the number one thing I have like that in my life that I still have, I have one I don't have anymore. The other I do have. In terms of childhood things that I ordered that I know I ordered from a catalog, the Far Side's album on cassette, when you opened up the notes, had a tearaway thing that you could order the shirt with. I ordered the shirt. I guess my mom gave me a check. And I sent it away in the mail to get the Far Side shirt. And it came like legitimately 6 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still have
Things came much later, obviously.
I
Yeah.
have that shirt. The other one, which I don't have, is based on the television commercial. You can call now and get your own.
Yeah.
I ordered the Yo MTV Raps t-shirt with the logo on the cover, on the logo on the breast pocket, and the back just said Yo in big letters. It was I can't tell you guys what a friggin' cool item it was to have that as like an 11, 12-year-old. The Yo MTV Rap shirt was crazy. And it got stolen from me at school. Again, these stories are really tough to get up
Was it
from.
the same girl that stole your Big Pun rice necklace?
It's a great question, SGG. No.
There is a person walking around right now with a Big Pun Rice necklace right over top of a UMTV Raps t-shirt.
This is even worse, though. The Yo MTV Rap shirt got stolen while I was changing in the locker room in gym class.
Oh, that sucks. So did
So,
you
like-
have a shirt to?
Yeah,
or
I
did you
guess
have
I
to
was.
wear the gym shirt?
I guess I had to wear the gym shirt. As I was in between, I look up, shirt's gone. My Yo MTV Rap shirt is gone. I mean, it's
There is a person walking around this earth right now.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that stole your t-shirt.
Yep.
And has been living with this for years.
And in fact,
Yeah.
what if it was someone who was like sort of self-aware and like sort of aware of who I was? And like whenever he sees me pop up in any way on like his feed, is like, Rosenberg, that bitch thinks he's cool. But guess what? I'm still wearing his fucking Yo MTV
Yeah.
Rap shirt.
I jacked them.
Was
The
there
story's
any
got
other
spiced up,
WWE
by the
item?
way. You know that story's been spiced up. If that person's still
Oh
alive.
yeah, he punched me in the face and took it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I ordered
Other items, any other
so
wrestling items?
the only childhood wrestling items that I have were Bret Hart glasses, but I don't believe those were ordered. I believe those were bought at a venue.
Yeah.
I had a Hulk Hogan.
I still have them, I think.
I had a
somewhere.
Hulk
I have
Hogan
them.
headband. The Hulkamania.
that too.
Dip, you don't have to say. We already know whatever I say. You're gonna say you have it. You are the hoverboard guy. You're gonna say, I have it. It's in a box. I have it. I had the Killer Bees poster.
Who's poster?
The Killer Bees poster,
Mage.
which I believe is
I don't have
I was
that.
I was waiting for it.
that one's here. That one's in this room with me right now somewhere. The Killer
Wow.
Bees poster. Yeah. Killer Bees poster. I don't remember. Oh, and then LJNs, and then like 8 LJNs. That's all. I think that's all I really had. I didn't buy that much. I went to 2 shows. I had those things, and that was kind of it.
You never had the LOD shoulder pads?
No, I was already out. So speaking of
Right.
which, Dip and I sat back on the other night. We poured ourselves a smooth glass of Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey, had ourselves a nice, luxurious drink, and like gentlemen, went on Tubi, SGG, and rewatched Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows.
Great documentary.
And Dip acknowledged when we started that he had not watched this in he had no idea the last time he'd seen it. For me, it was probably now up to a good 10 years that I had seen it.
I think I watched it in like the last 4 or 5 years or so.
If anyone is out there who loves wrestling and thinks it's great, you don't have to be embarrassed. This is a safe space. If you have never seen Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows, or you saw it so long ago that you need to rewatch it, I have to say, I cannot believe this film was made still.
Yeah. Listen,
My
I give-
mind, SGG, when after the screw job I don't want to give everything away because I know there are people watching. And again, you're in a safe space. You're allowed to say you love wrestling, think it's great, and you've never seen it. It wasn't a big deal when it came out. Like this was
It was to me, obviously.
well, but yeah, for me too.
And it kind of was too, though, because remember, it comes out after he's in WCW, and then A&E is like, oh, we got the footage. Because the documentary was supposed to be a completely different thing about his return to WWE and the contract negotiations between that WrestleMania 12 and what brings him back. And then he gets back, and they're like, this shit's a little shaky still, and they keep filming.
But SUG, I didn't see it. I didn't see it until my return to wrestling in the early 2000s. So I never saw it until probably 06, something like that.
Wow.
I think, you know what? I think it came out on DVD. I think there was like a DVD release of it many years later, and I bought it, and that was when I saw it. So
because they aired it on A&E.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see it on TV when it aired.
No,
so
it's
on Tubi. If you search wherever you have whatever your thing is, you'll find it. And without giving away all the incredible scenes that are mind-blowing, I mean, stuff that is just insane, including Stu stretching people and them screaming and it being incredibly awkward, insane content. Beyond that, after the screw job, Brett's ex-wife is just sitting there going in on Triple H.
Fingers in the face, by the way. And after the screw job, everybody's still mic'd up. Like, I give Brett a lot of credit for like the ways he influenced WWE that people don't realize. The documentaries is another one that I'm going to give him credit for because those cameras was with him at every show, documenting everything. They had all the footage. And now that's just like commonplace in WWE that like,
well, but it's not like this. It ain't like this.
Well, they because they control it. They have their narrative too. Like this
and you got to give Beyond the Mat credit for that too. Like these
Beyond the Mat's after though. Beyond the Mat's like,
but like right, like
99.
It's right there. They were Barry
Blaustein.
Yeah, Barry Blaustein, I'm sure, had that seed before Wrestling with Shadows came out. You know what I mean? He was obviously putting in the work to try to get his thing done. And when you see backstage back then, it looks so insane to be able to see. And there are a lot of scenes in this doc that are backstage. Like, it's almost worth us doing a watch along. Like, except we'd have to pause so much to like, you have to listen a lot. But I mean, SGG, these scenes, Dip and I got a little bit emotional. Dip is
kayfabe only, so Dip was probably inconsolable.
Yeah. Well, he didn't even understand what was happening because he goes, wait, what are they saying? But there are scenes with the New Heart Foundation. Brett is the only one that's alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to see Brian Pillman, Jim Neidhart, Davey Boy, Owen, and Brett. And Brett is the only one. If you haven't seen it, guys, seriously, I'm being serious. If you listen to this podcast and you think it's great, you have to do it tonight. Like you're going to make
Tubi's a free app, right?
Tubi's free. It's free. Speaking of which, do you guys see Brett? I feel like Brett might be now getting into his Quincy Jones era.
Of just, I'm going to say whatever the hell I want.
Yeah. Did you guys see that there was a little thing moving around today with Brett?
About how he punched Vince?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see it.
I hope he rots in hell.
Okay. He's getting to it right now.
Brett still says it's an uppercut, but then when we interviewed Undertaker, he said it was an overhand, like an overhand right. Those are very different punches, and I really need to know.
You know what's a great point.
What it was.
But I will tell you one thing: in Wrestling with Shadows, they definitely show Vince walking down the hallway with the limp.
Yeah, he's like, he has a little wobble in his step.
Yeah, wobble. Yeah.
Now,
so anyways,
we mentioned Basha Berlin. I think we'd be remiss, and I'm definitely going to throw it to you guys after this, if we don't mention that AEW All In is, I believe, this Sunday, August 25th. What are you guys looking forward to from that show?
It's Sunday, and I think it's like noon. Does that sound right, Dip?
I think so.
which I'm really glad about. I'm so happy it's a daytime pay-per-view. Yeah,
Because
12
it's on
o'clock.
Sunday.
Bruh, if they started All In, if you start that at night, I mean, so far they're up to 10 matches. Here's what you have so far. Let me just give you the big highlights. Timeless Tony Storm against Mariah May. Jack Perry versus Darby. Mercedes versus Britt. There's a casino gauntlet match, which we don't know about yet. Jericho versus Hook. Dip was very into Hook's promo last week. The Young Bucks versus FTR. The Young Bucks versus FTR versus the Acclaimed, I should say.
Tag team title match.
Yep. That is a 3-way tag team title match. The Patriarchy versus Bang Bang Gang versus House of Black versus Wildcard winners. 4-way ladder match for the Trios Championship. That's going to be insanity. And then
4-way for the trios. So that's 12 motherfuckers running around.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Swerve versus Danielson for the title versus career match. And then Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the AEW American Championship versus Will Ospreay. And Max has been having a ball being the heel American, which is such a sign of the times, by the way. Being like the heel American is very 2024. So to answer your question, SGG, this is kind of back to the classic AEW pay-per-view that I love, where you have like a handful that you can be like, I'm very excited to see. Like I know there's been a lot of controversy backstage. I'm very excited to see what Britt Baker and Mercedes looks like. And by the way, we haven't really spent any time mentioning this on the podcast. I got to tell you, Mercedes Heater, Camille, could she be Mage?
Camille is Mage. And it's I feel like she's been signed to AEW for a while. So it's strange that they like sort of had her.
Where did she come from, SGG?
She was in NWA. She was the NWA Women's Champion for a long time, immediately prior to being in AEW. Over 800 days.
I'm not saying she's like Jade Cargill, but like she gives me sort of like Cargill Jace vibes. Like you're like, whoa, she's imposing and attractive and pretty good. Like I find her very compelling. In fact, it's the one thing that is almost a little worrisome about using her on the show, in the story, is that in some ways she overshadows everybody else involved in it. Like you see Camille and you're like, whoa, who's Camille?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in that one. I'm interested in Darby versus Jack. I'm very interested, obviously, in Max and Ospreay, of course.
Does that main event, do we get like a SummerSlam 92 vibe where that mid-card title main events with the hometown hero?
It should
I feel like
be,
it
right?
should. I feel like it should. Because, people have said, and I haven't disagreed, that, the Swerve Danielson story doesn't feel like the main event story, like the show closing
it
story.
Does not.
Like they've said about Swerve's run a lot of the time. I feel like they should just lean into the SummerSlam 92 and just have the mid-card title main event.
But the thing is, I think Danielson goes over here.
I do
Me
too.
He's not losing his career on.
Yeah, I do too.
They have a match. They have a card. They have a pay-per-view in 2 months in Washington. He will be champion at that match.
Yeah,
I agree.
So
now Swerve is also from Washington, but I think.
By the way, he wins it back at that match.
Yeah,
but I can't see Daniel Bryan's career ending this weekend.
Nah,
I think he's going to go on a very short title run, but he's going to win. He's taking that title from Swerve. He needs to also. It's time.
Yeah, to me, it would be crazy that Bryan Danielson comes to AEW for now 3 years and doesn't have a title run. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I know sometimes people get mad at Dip, and I disagree with Dip sometimes about the old guys should always win. I don't always agree. Bryan
But they
Danielson
should.
should
It's
hold
not
that
that
title.
they should never win either.
Exactly. Bryan Danielson should win the title. I mean, Swerve, as you guys know, I thought Swerve really solidified his title reign with the Ospreay win. But I also don't think that there's a lot further to go right now. And as I've put this before, this is Swerve Strickland's first title reign. It doesn't mean not every title reign you get has to be 3 years. That's just not the way it works. I think it's time for Bryan Danielson. So to answer your question again, SUG, it's interesting because, yeah, Ospreay should main event. It's the hometown hero against the biggest star in the company.
Yeah.
That is the main event. There's no way around it. But at the same time, you're going to put the big title on a legend. How does that not main event?
Right.
I know. It's a good point. I mean, I do think that MJF ends up being the last match.
You know what?
I do.
You know what? Tony will do what AEW should do in this situation. And that is put them both aside and have Statlander versus Nightingale main event.
Oh.
Or Mercedes. Mercedes, like, I spent the most money on Mercedes.
Right.
She's got a main
She
event.
has to. She said she always has to main event whenever she wrestles, so that's what she's doing. But yeah, I am looking forward to this, and I am very grateful that it's noon. I think Swerve and Danielson will main event it. And I think potentially it will feel a little flat when they get started. That is if you want to know the biggest regular mistake that happens with AEW pay-per-views, besides them being 90 minutes too long, it's that when you see the main event, it always starts out flat because something crazy just happened 5 minutes before it.
Yeah.
By the way, I really do hope Bash at Berlin goes at least 2 more matches. I'd like that to be 6. If nothing else, because I'm going to Berlin, guys. That is a long trip.
6 feels like the sweet spot. I know they've settled in at 5 matches for these international PLEs, but I think they could go 1 more, because that's what the fans always like. They want 1 more at least.
Well, people like to make plans for PLEs, and
right.
When you have plans and like you're hanging out with people, you're not glued to every second of it. So if you're not glued to every second, 5 matches goes so quick. You need 1 or 2 that aren't as big as the others.
Yeah. Because, like, I feel like Triple H is applying the takeover model to these PLEs of like a tight 5-match card. Every match sort of bangs. Crowds go home happy. But this is main roster, man. We need, because then that ends up with some people getting left off the card. You got room for 1 more. You do. Developmental, I can understand it. Okay, this person's not ready. They're getting there. Blah, blah, blah. These are supposed to be your heavy hitters. Make room for 1 more match.
I think it would be fair. Now, at the same time, though, I may regret this immediately, SGG, because we have a post show too. So really, I should want the 5-match card, do the post show, and still be able to go. Hope to have a beer in Berlin. That's what I should really be thinking about and prioritizing. But I care about the people.
Exactly.
And I think the people want 6 to 7 matches.
And when you love wrestling and think it's great, no disrespect to Stone Cold, but you can set aside that beer for the common man.
That's right.
Or the working man.
That's right.
And enjoy the wrestling.
Is this your first time in Germany?
Yes. Birthplace of my mother.
Oh, wow.
But not Berlin.
Is that true?
Yes, my mother's born in Germany, but not in Berlin. But I am looking forward to it. I wish I had a little more time. I'm going to arrive there at like 1:45 or 1:55 on Friday. And then
in the afternoon or like AM?
Afternoon. So I get there Friday afternoon. I'll be able to hang out from the moment I get there to when I go to bed. But listen, I'm obviously going to be beat, but I'm going to power through. And then the next day I'll get up. I don't know what time they'll say. Like, I don't know. I've never done an international one, so I don't know how it works. My guess is there's a little bit more probably structure in terms of buses to go to the arena and things of that nature. So
for sure.
So my guess is it'll be like, if the bus goes at 10 o'clock, that's when you go. Not like, oh, I'm just going to jump an Uber and figure it out.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Well, especially
it'll be very regimented, I'm sure.
I would think it's more regimented. So I'll only have those 2 days, and then I'm coming back Sunday. Now, and by the way, Dip, this is so insane. Can you believe I'm flying on KLM Airlines? There's economy, okay? Like $1,300, $1,500, whatever it is, okay? There's premium economy, which I'm hoping to find a way to upgrade to. That's like over $3,000.
What? Just
Yes.
for some legroom and some.
Their
and
premium economy is its own. It kind of feels like their premium economy is business, and their business is first. Like their premium economy is its own small cabin. It's still its own small cabin. But yeah,
it's still premium in some capacity.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. But SUG, it's not a pod. It's not a pod.
Yeah.
It's a seat.
It's so funny. It's basically premium economy in the United States is basically instead of just like they have like the webbed leather in the back of the.
It's nothing. It's
or whatever it's
this
called.
This is at least something.
Stitching.
This is something, but it's very expensive, and it's only something. But dude, their business class for this flight is $7,500.
Jeez.
What Dip, how rich do we have to get before you go, oh, 7,500, no big deal. Obviously, we're flying business. What number do you have to have in your account before you don't mind? This is a serious question. How much, I'll ask both of you, how much money do you need in your bank account where you go, 7,500 makes no difference. I'm only flying business class?
Millions.
I mean, I think
millions.
It's
multiple millions.
No, but I think don't lowball the millions. I think you're talking about 10 million or more.
Yeah. The number that I had in my head was 12.
You're like $12 million. Do you say, I'll screw it, I'll do 7,500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like 75, I'll do business internationally and then I'll fly private domestically. $12 million.
If you have 12 million.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. Because
I'm just going to LA. I would just go private.
That is an obscene amount.
Yeah.
Obscene.
Oh, and when I fly private, I'm taking all the snacks. I'm leaving with waters.
Oh, that's like better take a lot of water. Actually, no. You know what Linder told me? He's like, oh my god, KLM is so great. When you fly business, they give you this model toy, and people like to collect the models. And I'm like, when I saw 7,500, I went, what is it? A cocaine inside the model toy? Does it come with a prostitute? I mean, what are you saying?
Yeah,
this is insane. $7,500.
That's disgusting.
All right, I'll keep you all posted on what happens here. We will do a Patreon later in the week. Big shout out to our patrons. We love our patrons. We think they're great. We did a watch along Attitude Era Raw last time.
Yep.
We should watch like a 1950s show.
I'm down.
And talk about the hip tosses and the and the headlocks.
You know, I wish there was.
Hip toss is called a finish.
Yeah, I wish there was footage of the full match between Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers, because they have like clips of it, and I would have loved to see the whole thing.
No, we're watching Gotch Thez next week.
That's right.
Yeah, I want a Hackenschmidt.
Yeah, we got to do a Hackenschmidt watch along. We really do.
We must do a Hackenschmidt.
We're gonna find the match where the person says, "We promised you a great main event," and then we'll watch that one.
You know what? That's GG. You're stat guy. By next show, I want you to find out what we promised you a great main event. And by the way, might be a million matches.
It might be like from the night. No, but there's one that whatever the audio was from the intro that they used to use. We're gonna find that match and we're gonna watch it.
Who do you think knows the answer to that? Do you think Ben Brown knows the answer?
I think he does. He knows everything.
There's no chance that's a bridge too far, isn't it?
He was probably in the editing bay when they found the clip and was like, "We're gonna use it. We have to use it." Ben,
let me know if you know what that's from. I'm gonna ask someone. I maybe there are a couple people in Stamford who I think who should know that. I don't know if Ben Brown will, but I'll be impressed. Guys, we love you all. We think you're great. We'll see you on Patreon later on this week. And enjoy All In. We'll break it all down next week. And do me a favor, guys, and stay mage.
Take it easy, man.
Stay mage.